Okay, let me get rid of this phone. Thank you.
Thank you.
All set?
Ready as
Okay, call this Town of Vinalhaven Board of Selectmen meeting to order for Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. Agenda item number 1, roll call, Tom Anthony, Glad Olson, Don Young, Leslie Dyer, myself, Elizabeth Bunker, and Marjorie Stratton. And number 2 is approve the agenda.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Number 3, approve the minutes from the December 12th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Approve and sign treasurer's warrant number 28.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Communications? I don't have any. Okay. Number 6, speakers from the floor. Number 7, committee and departmental reports and appointments. A, Woodard and Kern status report.
Well, things are moving along. We're almost ready to go out to bid for the EDA portion of the downtown project. I don't know what to say. I mean, there's nothing new except that things are moving along. The environmental assessments are being completed. We should be able to go out to bid soon. I don't know if Gabe has anything to add.
She's up next, so do you want to move on to B?
Sure.
Okay, 7B downtown project. Hi, Gabe.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just echo Marjorie. I think we're moving along the same as we were before the holidays. We should be able to, like Marjorie said, go out to bid pretty soon. I think that will be hopefully, I think we're thinking, well, I was looking for the actual date, but it's soon. It'll be soon. And then the other piece is the second and third phase of the project, which we received a work order for from Woodard and Kern, and Marjorie and Brett and I have discussed that, and we'll be hopefully being able to move forward with that pretty soon, but we need our notice to proceed from MBRC, and that should happen shortly after. We're hoping mid-February, because we will be done with what we need to do for that, hopefully by January 25th. So that'll be fast approaching. And yeah, so these pieces are coming together, which my fingers are crossed, because it's been a long road, but yeah. I don't know if anyone has any questions about it. I think we talked last time about the public outreach pieces, and we will have a few questions for you as well, just considerations as we move into the next phase of the project, which involves the parking lot designs. So we have sort of a short time frame for all that. So I know we're going to probably ask you all some questions in terms of how you want to be able to review those designs, and what just we won't have as long a period of time as we did last time to review the first phase of the design. So anyway, we'll bring those questions to you maybe by the next meeting.
Okay. All set?
That's
Do we
all
have
I
any-
have. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys have anything? Alrighty. Thanks, Gabe.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thank you.
7C Wastewaters Committee Swap Shop Report.
You have it. I just didn't, if you had any questions, Chris.
My only question was the one I asked you this morning, if, in an email. After reading this, about all the things that have dropped off. Unofficial drop-offs, or whatever you want to call it. I asked Pat if she thought a camera would be beneficial, and her answer is, or was,
Probably, but I don't know, I don't know how much it costs and how much it's worth, if it's worth us just bitching. Can I say that? You know, you show up and there's this mess outside.
right,
I don't know if it's so bad that the money to spend on a camera and maintain it is worth it, but I don't know.
you said it was on your original wish
Yeah, it
list.
was on our, we figured, people, I guess, would do this, right? People do it at the dump transfer station forever. The cameras stopped that, I'm guessing. I don't know. People drop stuff out.
Do we have internet access from that area?
We do, I have, the water district gave me their password and I shared it with anybody that comes, not their connection are allowed to use theirs. So if they go away, and may not have it, but
If we have internet access, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Cameras are not that expensive. And we probably could use one in that parking lot area anyway.
I'm certainly not opposed to it, but the issue I always have is that, well, who's gonna monitor it? And
If there's an issue, it records and you can then review
You just
what
look
was
at it,
there.
yeah.
But it's, well, in my experience, it's time consuming and cumbersome to go back and review. I'm just saying, this is the,
The one at the library was, very helpful. To stop skateboarding and, you know, it just, and it
they were having a
deters
really big problem, weren't they? Or-
Yeah.
Yeah. So-
years ago, and it deters people if they know there's a camera there, they go, whoa. But I didn't find it cumbersome to be looking at the video. I mean, how I don't know.
But there are cameras that you can put up that are only sensitive to motion.
Right,
And you can, somebody or whoever connected to their phones.
you can look at it that
observe
way.
Whatever happens and then goes away. I mean, it's not like, so if they could click it and capture that as a photo, that would be helpful, and you don't have to go back and look at it.
Right,
Right, you get a notification.
yeah, those are the new ones. So the one I'm talking about clearly was a long time ago.
Yeah, I have one. I do that all the time with a couple of them, one up on top of the cemetery.
Yeah,
And that's really stopped a lot of activity up there. But it's not a
Those
great
really
big
get
deal to
around.
check.
If you, I think versus going through, like, we have the security company that we have.
Right,
things in
Seacoast, yeah.
town and at the dump and so far, but, if you just did a regular, like, home camera.
Yeah, I've seen those. They work pretty
with
good.
internet, that would probably suffice there, and it would be easier than, like when Margaret and I have to look something up in town. It can take a long time because, you know, you're going through to the date and then what you think is the time
Right,
and which camera has it and so on, so it can be tough, but, maybe a single camera would.
This is something that, a little due diligence wouldn't hurt, to see what's out there and what would make sense for that particular location.
Yeah, I've seen some people that have them, that they see people coming and going all the
Yeah.
time.
yeah.
So I don't know what one it is, what brand it is, but can certainly find out.
The worst pile of stuff we had though was dumped in the back.
Right,
And I don't know whether it was dumped, one person dumped, or there were bags of clothing that sat in the rain before we discovered them and, fluorescent light fixtures and I mean, it was like
typical.
a massive pile and I don't know when it came.
What we could do to stop that is there is a gate.
That's what I
Side,
said to her.
We could shut the gate, lock it.
That's the
and then on
water
other
district
side, we
gate.
could just put a couple of Jersey barriers across.
Excuse me. That's the water district gate. So I suggest you talk to them before you just go locking it without their knowledge.
We actually, had already talked, well, I talked to last year about locking it.
I'm sure
And
it
Will
won't
gave me
matter.
a key to it, so.
Yeah, just so long as they
Will.
know.
Yeah, but I mean,
And then you
that is
can
something
put
that we could.
something to the back way. You can put something there to keep people from driving in there.
That would be good as long as we would also be able to open it because sometimes big heavy things come in and rather than haul them from the front to the back, you have people drive around to the back. But, that would be, it's a nasty pile of trash that's there, it's all frozen in right now, so.
It'll be in the pond tomorrow,
Yeah,
with all the rain.
with all of us.
Not funny. So anyway,
Yeah, I think we're just pretty much holding our own and doing, we get new volunteers, people drop off. So it's not, we haven't burned out of anybody yet, so it's all going pretty well.
it looked pretty busy there this afternoon.
It looked busy the other day too.
We got, well, the parking lot, there's not any parking spaces now because of snow, because that, oh, never mind. I was just complaining today that we don't have our summer people because they take, well, we have to bag up at the end of our 6 weeks. So we have this 6-week rotation. If it's been on a hanger for 6 weeks, we send it to Goodwill. And we have maybe 3 times as many bags of stuff at the end of the week in the winter as we do in the summer, because the summer people, yes, they do bring in stuff, but they take out volumes of stuff. We just don't have enough people right now to clean it out, so.
So where do they go with it if the other places on the mainland don't accept donations? What do you
Well, so
do?
far, we're sticking with Goodwill and Salvation Army. It's just, I mean, there's quite a lot. I mean, people stop in and say, I'll take 5 bags in 3 weeks, and it's like, in 3 weeks, there will be 20 more bags, but, it's just like people aren't going anywhere right now, so we have an inventory. It's just harder, it's getting harder to dump it to Goodwill. It's not that it's shut off, it's just harder.
So
So,
they are taking donations then?
yes, the problem is that before you could drop off at 10 o'clock, so you went on the 8:45 boat, 7 o'clock boat, you have an hour, before they open, you get rid of your stuff, and then you're on your way. But now, if you 8:45, well, that's my favorite boat anyway, it's just me, but I don't want to be arriving at 12 o'clock at Salvation Army and then, or Goodwill, and then trying to get back on the boat. I want to be done with that, so, and, we've had a couple of people, you didn't have any trouble, did you? No, okay, but we've had a couple of people that, showed up and they were shut. So now they're heading to an airport and, or wherever they were going, and they've got a car full of stuff, and it's like, what's to do with that?
They probably don't appreciate you just dropping it off and leaving it there either.
So they don't.
Yeah.
They have cameras. Okay,
Anyway, so it's just harder, and I'm just, thinking that I'm only mentioning this here so that you know if the dump fees go up, it's because we couldn't continue to move as much stuff as we were moving.
good. Great report.
Thank you.
Yes.
You ladies work hard. I think it's awesome. Yeah. 7E, Cemetery Committee appointment.
Well, there's another appointment.
You
Oh,
got-
I'm sorry, Waste Watchers Committee.
We'll make sure you say yes.
Lise, is it?
Easy for
Lise Kirk would like to be appointed to the Wastewater Watchers Committee.
And there's a vacancy that it expires on June
June of
24th.
This year.
Okay, I would make a motion that we appoint her to the Waste Watchers Committee.
So moved.
All in favor?
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
We know, we have 7 people in that committee, and it might not be bad to let it go to 5 if it's like 7 little chiefs making decisions, so it's not like it used to be. I know, it's not like, you know, that when people working on composting and people working on single stream, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Now we're all working on one thing, and it's a lot of, I think 5 would be a really good balance but I don't know.
How many-
change that.
How many do we have up in 24?
What would be this new one, this Lise Kirk, and Janie Todd is the next one in 24. 25 is gonna be Darlene Beckman and Diane. And then 26 is Amy Lear, Pat, and Heather.
So how do you,
So maybe if it just comes along.
I was gonna say, how do you
you gotta watch it.
determine, like, suddenly it's like, oh, I love doing this, well, see ya.
Well, Darlene is not communicative, so
Okay,
she hasn't said a word to us, but she's not up for a long time. And Amy, who is the prime mover and got the whole thing going, hasn't been
She hasn't been
doing.
even on island, I don't.
and when does hers?
26.
So we have 226 that are not,
We can, I mean, we could send Amy an email and just say, are you still interested in continuing?
Well, it doesn't hurt anything. I mean, so we're acting like we're five, right?
Right.
Because there's only 5
Okay,
people acting,
yeah.
but it's just a thing to think.
Just
about.
as they
Okay.
expire
So it
and don't
doesn't-
renew.
right.
But,
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, we'll figure it out as we go along. I think, I hope. Anything else, Pat?
Do you know Diane? Stop, everybody.
Yeah.
Not a major wastewater, a major wastewater.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Okay. Now, E, cemetery committee appointment. And that would be David Wood. So I don't know, Mr. Wood, but
I believe he is the
assuming
husband of
Lice,
Lisa's husband.
what's her name? Lisa?
Lisa.
So,
I did speak to Eric Davis,
No, I don't.
the cemetery committee, and he said that he would like to have him as a member.
okay,
And then again, it's through 6/24.
And he wants both cemetery
yep, and Lane's Island.
Oh, I forgot about that one, yeah.
This position open on Lane's Island as well.
Well,
Lane's Island
That's a-
stewardship.
yeah, it's just, the representative from Maine Coast Heritage Trust really does most of the stewardship work. That's Kirk Gentelin. Apparently, the Nature Conservancy is working on just giving ownership over to Maine Coast Heritage Trust. So we haven't really limited the membership because it's really just a couple of times a year that I think the committee gets together and maybe does a cleanup and fixes up the picnic tables. I don't mean to make light of it. They're very,
Right.
you know, they work
Mhm.
hard and do a good service. But I don't think I don't think we limit the number of people that want to participate in that.
Well, that one isn't on the agenda, so do we move that to the next time, or do we,
It's up to you.
can we add, I mean, do you wanna just add it now to the agenda, or?
There's
How
7
does it work?
members
It's up to,
currently.
it's up to the board if they want to address it or not.
Okay, we might just as well do it, don't you think?
Yeah, I
Do
mean,
both
we've
of
got
them.
it in front of us.
So. Anything else, Marjorie, you wanted to add? You guys all set? Okay, make a motion that we appoint David Wood to the cemetery committee and also the Lanes Island Stewardship Committee.
Oh,
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Lane's Island, one of the best things the town had done when they decided to make that into a town park years ago. That could have gone the other way just as easily as not.
It's Nature Conservancy though, isn't it? Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
It started out as a town park.
I
Back
don't
in
know the history. I know it's
whatever.
owned by the Nature Conservancy right now.
Right,
I think the town must have turned it over to them at some point in the past.
We have an agreement whereby we,
have to fix the road.
yeah. But we don't own it.
No.
And it's not a, well, I don't,
It started out, it did start out as a town park.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know.
You're not old enough, yes.
I feel old.
Okay, moving on to 8, old business. Net Factory Site Reuse Committee Formation Document Update. Is that a Gabe thing too, or?
Yeah, we just updated it because some of the members,
That gave back already.
to clarify the
She heard her name.
membership. And, Eric Davis had asked to be on that committee as well, so it's really just to update what you have already seen.
Okay,
That's the only thing, right, Gabe?
Yeah,
But
it was
there's-
just since the last time you saw it and this version, it's like a slightly updated roster of members. There were a few people that stepped away, and then the addition of Eric, so it's just updated, and we wanted to make sure you had the most recent version.
Yeah, everything's the same except the list.
how many people are gonna be allowed to be on that committee?
I like how you phrase that too, of like, how many people will be allowed to be on it?
Well,
We
allowed,
do,
how
no,
many-
no, I just think that's
You
a
know?
good question. Because it was rather large, and that was my fault, because I didn't want to discourage the students, so we took all of the students. So the original idea was that we would have like 11 people. There's 13 and an alternate is how many there is. Currently. So we'll see how that gets sustained. My thought is it might not carry through with that many people, but trying to be welcoming and make it work. So
Exactly.
and it'll be my job to facilitate that number of people. So we'll see how it goes.
All righty. Okay, thank you for answering my questions. All right, does anybody have any questions, more questions for Gabe on this?
Yeah,
Yes.
you've had a chance to, set times and dates yet?
Just about done, because Eric, we had overlooked that Eric had previously requested to be on the committee, so I'd only had a chance to send him that intake form yesterday, so I wanted to give him a chance to do that. I haven't gone in yet today to see if he filled it out, just to get his thoughts on when to meet. But my goal is hopefully to have that out to you all by tomorrow. So I haven't sent it yet, but it's definitely within the next day or so.
All set, Dawn? 9, new business. Options for relocation of Eagle.
Well,
This harbor?
Dave and I had a brief conversation of, because it keeps coming up in the community as a subject, people either love or hate the Eagle. It will have to be relocated during the project, but we just wanted to ask if the selectmen wanted to talk about it or how you wanted to approach it. But Gabe just talking about the parking lot design, maybe that's something that we could talk about during that discussion.
That's a good
Do
idea.
you have any thoughts about,
I think one of the things too that we were hoping to have you think about was like, is there a process that you want to use for deciding where it's going to go, or like, because I know, like Marjorie said, people do have strong opinions one way or the other just about the Eagle in general. So thinking like, does it behoove, I'm not saying definitely take public comment or, but I'm just saying, I'm putting that like considerations out there. Like, do you want like some clearly defined, like this is how we're going to decide where the Eagle's going to go. So that was really like what we were thinking, but I agree, Marjorie, I think doing something as considerations as part of that design phase makes sense. And I'll say also too, from this point of, in that design phase is when we talk about amenities, which essentially are like, is there going to be a bench over here? Or, oh, we have an opportunity to use this grassy area to put a picnic table, or those are the amenity conversations. So the Eagle could be considered at an amenity if we want it to. And so in that design, we could think about where to put it as an amenity. So just that's kind of why it might make sense to talk about it during then. But it was really to like the idea of the process for deciding where it's going to go. You guys might just be like, we're just going to decide, and that's fine. We just wanted to make sure it was being considered in a way that you felt, you were comfortable with, because people may, well, no, I won't say people may. people will definitely have something to say about it.
Right, right.
Amy, one of the things, one of the things we might want to consider while we're doing this is take a look at, where would this eagle come from? Buffalo, where was it made? I don't think it came out of Vinalhaven. And it'd be nice if people, whether making a decision or where they want it, to know where it came from and what the significance is to Vinalhaven, other than it came here under false pretenses.
Well, there is a, article that, Peter Richards put on the, down there with information about it.
But I'm
And the
saying, it'd be
history
good
of
to-
it, so I
to
think that
quantify
that
it.
would be a good, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same token, it does explain where it came from and how it was made and who made it.
Right,
But no, it has nothing to do with Vinalhaven as far as that particular piece goes.
well, again, when it was put in there, it was brought in under that it was made here.
Right,
And there was a lot of people saying, what is it doing here? And I just think before we go start moving it around, we ought to be able to point out the significance, what it is to Vinalhaven. And if now people think it's important in spite of that has no relevance to us, we ought to just take that into account with what position they're in.
Millie?
Just to kind of put a thought into your heads in case it is you, that, makes a decision on the Eagle. Obviously, right now, it's in the way for snow removal. But I've thought for a long time about this when the project first started, and I think that if the town wants to see it and keep it around, maybe we talk to the state about putting it down at the boat wharf, looking out over the harbor as it, as the ferry boat comes in, so that you see it when you come in on the ferry boat and people can look at it. That's if it holds together when they move it, so.
Well, if it's done correctly, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hopefully, yeah.
I can't imagine it wouldn't be able to be moved without hurting horrible
It's
things.
got some deterioration to it, so
What's that?
it's got some deterioration.
Well, I know that when we discussed it a few years ago, that's when we realized it was cracked.
Yeah,
But anyway, so what do you think? I think we ought to move it to when we discuss
Yeah,
the parking lot and
I think that
the
makes the most
amenities.
sense.
Yeah. That would
Okay.
seem to me the best idea. I'm sure we'll get plenty of public comment regardless whether we ask people.
We could have a town meeting.
Moving on to 9B, BRIC, Building Resilience Infrastructure in Communities. Gabe,
Hi, again.
are you
Um,
back? Oh, there you are.
So, hopefully you had a chance to read the memo that I
I
sent,
did.
and hopefully it's understandable and not too I tried to just be as succinct as I could. BRIC is a program we tried to apply to before for the downtown project. This is a little bit kind of a different approach to things. Brent and Marjorie and I have discussed how can we kind of look across the island at all the different resilient projects that need to be done? Is there a way we can sort of try to get into this pipeline of what I call the BRIC pipeline? It's not a guarantee if you start with one type of BRIC grant that you're going to get, like if you do a planning grant, that you're going to get a construction grant. But I just think this is the proposal that we're putting together or want to put together would basically sort of position Vinalhaven as the applicant of this grant. It would essentially be for planning, but it would yield likely some pieces like they could be additional studies, they could be engineering designs, they could be engineering designs plus some other requirements for a construction BRIC grant, such as a benefit cost analysis. But the idea would be to put all of the islands who want to participate into 4 different cohorts to focus on like projects, because all the islands are dealing with very similar projects related to resilience, like drinking water capacity or limitations, energy transitions, infrastructure adaptations. There's a lot of concern around wildfire mitigation on islands. So thinking about those 4 different topic areas, we'd like to form these 4 different cohorts with hopefully all 15 islands that are the year-round islands in Maine participating, with the idea that we could kind of maximize resources and become more efficient by taking everyone's, say, infrastructure adaptation projects and looking at them simultaneously, and then being able to pay for the engineering to either work on one project or multiple projects across communities. So we're trying to think regionally, and I say we, it's like me and my role as the Community Resilience Partnership regional coordinator, and working alongside like the Island Institute, and then just, you know, knowing that Vinalhaven has often taken I say leadership role in a lot of the resilience work, particularly around sea level rise and adaptation, certainly with the downtown project. I mean, I don't know if any of you are following North Haven, but they're kind of like following in our footsteps, doing their own downtown and waterfront project now with, I will say, a brick grant. Just we wanted to get your, I would say, approval, and you know, certainly I want to answer any questions, because obviously there's always, you know, questions around grants and what it means and what Vinalhaven's obligation is, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll stop talking, and if you have questions, please ask.
I'm a little concerned that before we expand the scope of what we've been doing, we've got enough issues around here in terms of funding our roads. And I'd hate to see us take a lot of attention away from that. Now, I'm not saying that this might not be a vehicle to do it, but we've been neglecting the roads in this island for a long time. They need a lot of work. So my focus would be on that rather than starting a number of other projects.
But this might address that.
Well, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
that,
saying.
yeah.
I don't want to see us go diverting funds where we need them,
Yeah, I would respond to say, so like, and Millie is obviously right up on top of this, is like, we're talking about all of the culvert, you know, the culvert issues and the road damage from the washouts. And that's certainly like at the top of a lot of communities' lists. So infrastructure adaptation, that's where that would fall. And so looking at what's needed to get funding to be able to make those sort of all the changes that need to be made, because, you know, we can replace culverts, but we actually need to upsize the culverts. Well, do we need to also raise road elevation in different areas? Are there other things that need to be done in order for us to get funding? So I think it's like up to Vinalhaven to identify those areas. Obviously, I mean, that's been flagged for sure, is the road infrastructure. And there's likely, I mean, I know there are other things too that are already on the list, but I think you're right, Dawn, that's certainly front and center.
I don't really see, I'm sorry, man.
Yes.
I don't really see it as a deflection. I mean, any road project, Millie and I would be at the forefront of that, any paving project. So I don't think it would deflect from any of our goals.
Scope change.
What's that, Dawn?
So my concern is that we could have a lot of other priorities creep in and take our attention away from this particular one. And we need a lot of money for this.
I don't
this-
believe that it would be.
What is the financial, I'm sorry, may I speak again?
Yes,
Madam
may,
Chair?
please.
What is the financial responsibility for Vinyl Haven again? Could you review that? I thought it was none or minimal. You're muted.
Sorry. The only thing I had was I was estimating like that it would be hard to pull out Deb's time for when she like processes an invoice or something. So I just put that as like in-kind time that she would be spending anyway. But so I calculated if there was an 18-month grant, it would be like 2,200 or $2,250 in kind based on her time. But I don't think it would need to be any more than that because the Vinyl Haven would receive up to 5% to cover any management costs. And then the benefit of the grant is engineering design or studies, which, would likely, that's like upwards of $50,000 to do that. And then any additional costs like for travel or participation costs by staff or committee members that would be covered by the grant. So there's other than like me and Marjorie talking, but again, that time gets covered by the grant technically as management costs. So there isn't that cost, but I hear your concern, Dawn, about like diverting attention or like, could we all of a sudden have all of these other projects that we think we're going to focus on? I would just say it's you all that are choosing what to focus on. We don't have to say the town, the town of Vinyl Haven may not be saying we're going to look at water capacity anyway, but the water district might want to get involved and say, hey, we would like a representative from the district to sit in on this water cohort and look at, some challenges that we think we might be having or that we want to look at around water capacity. So it doesn't necessarily mean the town needs to divert or put attention toward it. And it wouldn't be the grant telling the town what to participate in. It would be the town saying, well, wildfire is important, but we don't have, any time or attention for that right now. We're just going to focus on road infrastructure. But if the water district wants to participate in the water part, great. So it doesn't, the idea is that it's not supposed to take away or divert anything. It's supposed to accelerate getting toward additional funding to actually implement projects. That's the idea. But I
Right,
hear
and
your
as-
concern.
And as long as the scope of the grant is followed and it does include road infrastructure, then it is encompassing the problem.
I guess
That's correct. Yeah.
what I'm also concerned about is if you apply for the grant and get it, what are the conditions of the grant? Does the grant come in and start to, require additional spending that we really do not anticipate?
Yeah, and do you have an idea of what you think that might be, Don?
I don't know. I'm asking a question. I'm trying to think
Okay.
ahead. I
Yeah.
guess maybe if I could spend some time with you, maybe just discuss what this grant is and just understand it better.
Yes, certainly. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. I would just say there's no surprise. Like it's a federal grant. If Vinyl Haven actually got the grant, so we're just thinking about applying. If Vinyl Haven actually gets this grant, it would be similar to how we administer the other federal grants. So there's not surprises, and it's not a construction project. So we're not gonna, there's not like, oh, we have to do these easements or the things that like, oh, here's an environmental review. The things that were holding us up with the downtown project would not be a consideration with this federal grant since it's a project scoping grant. So it's more around planning. And I'm trying to think of like I don't feel like we've had any surprise expenses with the downtown project federal grants, right, Marjorie? It seems like we've known what we have to cover, and it's been in the budget. So I would say no, because they're so strict about,
Right.
putting in exactly what you're gonna do and what it's gonna cost. So there's not a lot of deviation, and if you do deviate, you have to actually put that back to them for
Oh,
a
yeah,
change order, so.
Well, Gabe, here in, you say, discuss as needed at January 9th meeting, which is today. What the heck am I looking at? So is this something that you need to have an answer now, or?
I mean, technically, yes, that would be the ideal.
Okay.
Because I need to move forward with the application
Right,
if we are gonna do it. Yeah, so that's my short answer. But
okay.
I also don't want anyone to be feeling like, oh, what are we doing? And this is uncomfortable. So
Question, Gabe. All right, Madam Chair.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.
So if we're the lead on this, now you have to reach out to the other communities to get
so
them to sign on, like North Haven did with the streetlight project with us, that similar process.
yeah, so what I know it's kind of like as Vinyl Haven as like the lead island, like Vinyl Haven what I would need to do, and actually like what I'm all set to do, depending on what you all say, is yes, reach out directly to the other island communities whom, I already have relationships with based on the other work that I do with them. So I don't think it will come out of the blue, but yes, I would need to connect with them and see if they were amenable. They don't need to, because they're not like an actual project partner. They are not, I mean, they're receiving a benefit from the grant, but they wouldn't have to like sign on to anything per se. They would probably sign a letter of support, but that's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Dawn has expressed concern. We've heard the pros. Are there any other cons that you can possibly think might arise, Gabe? I mean, it seems like most grants usually are pretty straightforward, I think.
I mean, I think this is a real, I think that there's often like, yeah, there's like a super straightforward project, which is Vinyl Haven is going to do X and it's all about Vinyl Haven. This is a little different because we are saying, okay, why are we in this leadership position? And like, why are we working with all these other islands? And like, do we really have a lot in common with them? My thought is yes, because I see across the board, like, well, geez, it's too bad that we can't learn from them because they're already doing that. Or, well, like, wow, we could have saved a lot of money on that study and just combined it and done this whole thing. So I see the benefit of regional collaboration. I know sometimes when I was like just working for the town, it was harder for me to see that. So I would just say like sometimes I think that can be, I don't want to say it's not a concern, but that could sometimes be like we would have to just basically say, yes, we're willing to collaborate and we're in a leadership position collaborating with other islands and we are fine with that. I'm fine with that, obviously, because I'm pitching this project to you, but I think you would all have to be comfortable with that. And then, I really don't see any other drawback to this because it's really up to you and your comfort level, honestly, with like me and then me and Marjorie working together, and then, my ability to work with the Island Institute as a project partner, and then their ability to work with the other islands. So I think it's really like a comfort level on all your parts, in terms of what what you want to do and if you're willing to go for this.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I see no harm applying for it. I mean, we're not guaranteed to get it.
Absolutely not.
so-
It's really competitive. It's really competitive. So there's really,
Marjorie, you've obviously been talking with Gabe about this. What's your suggestion to us?
Well, I don't see a downside. I mean, it's gonna help us move forward. I don't mean to disagree with Don. I think it's important to listen to everybody's concerns. But I see it as a tool to move us forward. And again, I think that the regional approach is something that a lot of grants are thinking about now in terms of your applications, grant applications. A lot of them are not pushing, but if you're collaborating with other communities, it's beneficial in terms, yeah,
Mm.
like that.
Mhm.
And I think it's good it's good for us to take a regional approach and learn from the other islands and also to take the leadership role. You know, and I don't, you know, from what I understand, it doesn't seem like it's going to take a lot of our time or take away, but it'll be a tool for us to move forward and help us identify infrastructure projects. And we don't have to sign on to any particular project if we
Right.
don't want
Right.
to.
Well, certainly from the water district point of view, I would certainly know that it would benefit the water district if we were able to participate in the whole thing. Would be great.
Again, Pam,
So,
my primary concern is, racking up consulting and engineering fees that we don't, in my estimation, may not need.
well, we're not gonna be paying for it.
Hmm?
yeah,
We're not-
the grant would cover
grant would
all of
cover
that
it.
cost.
Well,
And actually, that's the point, Don, is that so every community that's doing a road project, like, okay, now we're like, okay, we have to get some grant money to actually do the engineering study that we need to figure out what to do with this road. We're all applying for the same limited pot of grant funds through the state. So you got, say it's just the islands, you got the 15 islands, everyone's applying for $150,000 that the state has available. It's $50,000 everyone needs for, for a grant. So the idea is like, well, how can you take that, remove that barrier and get everybody closer to, actually, like I said, being able to get infrastructure grant money to do the actual project, instead of everyone trying to like scramble for the same pot of money. So the BRIC grant would cover those engineering and design costs and pay for the administration and the consulting fees that it takes to do the whole project. So there isn't a cost to Vinalhaven in that regard. That's the benefit of the project, is getting that stuff.
as long as we
Alright.
don't lose control, I'll buy in. But
all right,
I
I'm
want
gonna make a motion
control.
that we apply for the BRIC grant.
So moved.
All in favor?
All right, thank you all. And Don, I'm still happy to have that conversation with you. So I'll just email you and we can chat some more about it.
That'd be great, thank you.
Okay, super.
I understand a little more than I do.
Yep, for sure. Yep. All right, thank you all.
Thanks, Gabe.
Did
Can
you have
you-
that other?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, go ahead. The other
We
grant?
have- We have the main infrastructure adaptation fund grant.
Yes.
Wow, Gabe, you're on a roll
I
tonight.
know.
We should have
There's
just had a
just way,
meeting.
there are just way too many grants right now.
That's
It's
not a
kind of,
bad thing.
I know it's hard, but I think, to Don's point, it's like you can get a little distracted with things when you see all of these different pots of money. But then also the other thing is like, how many grants can, one community manage? However, here's another one. This one is through MDOT, and so it's for infrastructure adaptation, but there's some, I wouldn't say caveats to it. There's some like requirements to like, it can only be for certain things and it has to relate to your community resilience partnership work. So our community resilience partnership work that we've gotten a community action grant for is part of the downtown project. So if we're looking at that whole downtown area, and then when I say downtown, I'm talking ferry terminal, you know, up to Water Street. Let's look at that whole area, the scope of the project. So if we're kind of looking within that framework, one of the things that has come up, and this is again sort of longer term planning, so it might not seem like as relevant as, you know, like when Millie and Marjorie are talking about, you know, culverts that need to be replaced, but this money is for study again. And study obviously is needed to get to actually getting the actual grant money for implementation. So one of the things that has come up is the crib work at the ferry terminal that the town owns. That came up in the 2019 Wood Report, which was a study done on that whole infrastructure there, most of it belonging to MDOT or Main State Ferry Service, and some of it belonging to the town. I don't have the details of that, but what Brent and Marjorie and I were talking about, and this also relates to things that Pete and Jim have brought up around tie-up space down there, is we have to replace some of that cribbing, and I'm not exactly sure like what the pieces are that have to be replaced, but our thought was, well, could we do a redesign of that, like knowing that it is like a we didn't really call it a breakwater. What would that be called? We were calling it something else. It's a wave break. Thank you, lad. Yeah, so like really taking advantage of the wave break need that we have for that area to protect all of that tie-up space, you know, being able to reconstruct that in a way that really benefits, you know, tie-up in that area and being able to provide more tie-up space in that area. So we thought the main infrastructure adaptation fund, it's a $50,000 planning grant. That would be a good thing to apply for. That was our thinking, not because it's more important than a, you know, falling apart roadway, but it matches the requirements of the grant the best, and it's a need that we have. So that's my thinking. The grant does require, I'm trying to think, it's $5,000 match, but I believe it can be an in-kind match. So that could be staff time, you know, it could be Marjorie's time on the grant. It could be Jim's time to talk about, you know, the design, you know, so I don't believe it has to be a cash match. So I think we're just pitching it. We don't need a decision on it. It was just like, should we be going down this road or not?
Okay, Marjorie has a question.
What was the deadline on that one?
Oh yeah, it's soon, but not as soon as the other one. It's February 2nd, I think.
Soon enough.
Yeah, it's soon enough.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
soon enough for
I'd like
sure.
to see more on that too. Talk about it some more.
Right.
Yeah.
Firm up the town's commitment. The, you know, the matching funds by the town, for the town, that type of stuff, a little bit deeper.
Would be nice to get some money to fix that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I use that flow in that area a lot.
Yeah.
That definitely needs attention at some point.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we've talked about it for a long time. All right, okay, Dave, are you all set? Are we
I
done?
think so. Yeah, that's all I need. What I'll do is I'll work on that one to get you more of like a memo thing
Yeah.
that describes it more. But if you all are thinking, well, that sounds like, you know, yes, if you want to look at that as the possible project for that grant, then I will work on that a little bit more and get you
Yeah,
some
makes
more
sense.
Bring
details.
that to the next meeting.
Okay, okay, that sounds
Yes,
good. That
please.
sounds good.
Yep.
We'll do that.
You ready to
Right.
adjourn this meeting?
Am I don't think I'm on the agenda anymore, am I? I think that's it, right?
Well, the agenda's almost
No.
done, so.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Well, I might as well stick around and listen anyway. All right. Thank you all. I'll bring that for the next meeting then. Thank you.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thanks, Gabe.
Okay, number 10. Report of town manager.
I did give you a budget report. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it. Most departments are really under 50%.
Yep.
At the end of December, we should be around 50%. With the total budget, we're at 52.9, which is very good in my mind.
good.
Public Works is at 52%, but again, that's not horrible, and the transfer station is 51.4. But as long as we're right around that 50%, I feel pleased about it. I mean, certainly, when the department heads get this budget report, I can talk to them about, particular aspects, and this is also something that we'll use when we develop the new budget,
Right.
like we with the cold patch, I think we just didn't put enough money in there, for instance, it's a also a guide for us for the next budget to look at, what went over and what we need next year. So,
Right.
anyway,
Yeah.
anybody has any questions?
I noticed that there's nothing has been applied for retirement. What are we looking at for a hit in the second half of the year on the retirement,
I
budget?
don't know. I mean, I can certainly get it
But
for
there's
you
nothing in
really
there.
quickly. Well, we do it, this town does it once a year. We
Yeah.
make the contribution once a year, it's
Yeah.
6%.
You know, any idea what magnitude that number is gonna be altogether?
I
Just
could get it.
ballpark, not a hard
I don't
number.
have it in my head, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
That's gonna drive that next half up. That's not, there are no expenditures in the first half showing.
Yeah, but there's like, in terms of debt service,
Budget 13,000, almost 14,000.
Total?
yeah. Oh, where are you?
14,700.
Well, that's
Oh,
just for the
Yeah, just
administration.
Bunch of them in there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's gonna be a
I understand what you're saying.
bit of a hit. I'm just curious if
Uh-huh.
it's minor or is it significant?
I'm sorry, I just don't have
No,
that
I
figure
don't
in my head.
Yeah, I don't think this is the
Budgeted though.
time to talk about future budget.
Oh,
No,
no, it's
it's
not.
in the
Of the-
budget. What
right.
Don's asking is, what is the total amount that we spend for retirement?
Right, I
That
understand
6%.
that,
Oh, okay.
but I just don't, I mean, it's kind of something we don't have to discuss right now because Marjorie doesn't have the
No, we
numbers.
can wait on that, but I'm just saying that's a caution that we
We
have.
will be starting our budget meetings here.
Sooner rather
That
than
That has nothing
later,
to do with the new budget.
right?
just so you're
Dawn,
clear.
I understand that.
Good.
Thank you.
When are we starting budgets? Any idea?
The budget committee is meeting, next week for an initial, I don't know, what, a kickoff?
What will be the role of the selectmen? 'Cause I'm sure with the active budget committee, we're probably gonna have a different role than we've had in the past several years.
What will be your role? Well, your goal is to develop a budget to go to town meeting.
Right.
But, you can do as much as you'd like to do.
Okay, my question, we had a budget committee
Mhm.
and in past times, they basically put together a budget and went through you and then it came to the selectmen as a for approval.
No, I and the department heads put the initial budget together.
Yeah.
And then it does go to the budget committee to review, and they like or not like things.
Give suggestions.
And
or-
as the budget gets developed, you also get copies of it.
Right.
Right.
So I mean, it's a better system, don't get me wrong, I'm just trying to make sure I understand, because as you know, when I first was on it, most of the budget work. The real budget committee they were setting in, but they really weren't leading or even participating all that much.
Mhm. Well, we have a meeting next week. Um,
You mean when you were on the budget committee?
Yep.
Mm.
I guess that's all.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Yeah. Does the budget committee plan their meetings ahead? Do they try to have a specific, like every?
They haven't, and
Okay, I was just curious,
it may be something that we talk about.
asking for a friend. No, I was.
Is there a schedule of meetings?
Yes.
Right.
I was just curious. Not really, I'm asking for some, that's on the budget committee. Supposed to be on the budget committee. That would be Eric. I was gonna say, gotta be Eric.
Yeah.
And he definitely, I think it would be helpful for him to have,
Have it laid out in front of
if
him.
he knew, a little bit beforehand, so then I can really harass him
Well,
about.
he's never come to a meeting yet.
I
so,
know, that's what I'm saying, that he should, if he knows when they are, he has no excuse.
You'll
Eric.
find out.
Mm.
Oh, Eric.
He would be very good on the budget committee,
If you ever got to a meeting.
if he ever comes to a meeting. Hog tie him and bring him to a meeting.
Just schedule it at his house.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
exactly, have it there. Okay, Marjorie, do you have anything further?
Just briefly, we're dealing with a shoreline, a cutting in the shoreline zone, but unfortunately it's on town property. And I've been consulting with different people about how to handle that. Just because it's on town property, I just wanted you to know that, that we were dealing with that, so anyway.
Okay, thank you. 11, report of members. Anybody have any concerns or questions?
I do, but I will remain silent.
Okay. So, everybody all set? Okay, so we will go into executive session.